Right, here we are. These are throttle bodies off a E36 M3, and these two are the middle two from this set, because obviously they're 6-cylinder. This set is how they come off. This set has been pulled apart, so they're individual, that was in the middle. This is the bar that controls the throttle opening on each one. So what happens when you've got an M42 or an M44, what you do is you take the middle pair out, put these together, where they bolt onto the head, you have to weld a bit of aluminium on the side and drill a hole through it. Same over here. I think this bolt hole, you have to elongate it a bit, but they fit straight onto the head. You don't need to put an adapter on. It's a lot easier if you put an adapter on, but this is all doable. And I had, my last set I had some aluminium welded to it, and it was £20 or something. It didn't cost much. This is the rod that controls the throttle opening, but it also controls, on the end here would be a throttle position switch. So when you use the throttle, it tells the throttle position switch where the throttle is. And also it's got a square at this end with a bolt in it, which the throttle goes to. So the throttle is on the, that's why I use the two outside ones. One's got the throttle position sensor, and one's got the bracket to hold the throttle on to operate the bar to make the throttles open. So what I've got, I'm going to use these on another engine. I've done another set, I've done the two sets on engines. So I've got two spare throttle bodies, but they are exactly the same as these, apart from there's no place for the throttle position switch to go, and there's no place for the linkage to go to operate the throttle, and there's no bar on it. So I have got a bit of bar, or I've got measurements which I can put with it. The holes on the top, these holes are for the servo. That's all they do. They just suck vacuum. So one of my engines doesn't run a servo. Well, it does, but it's got a servo pump on it. These have all been blanked off and glued with bungs. The other car, I've just put the servo pipework from an M42 or an M44, and it fits in because they're all the same centres, and I've just bunged it up because I don't use the servo on that car. And that sorted that out. So you can either run it to the servo and it will still work all right. I used to have a servo on the car. These other holes are for the injectors. Now, I must have loads of injectors that came with these throttle bodies. They'll be in a bucket somewhere, or a box, or they'll be in the garage. I've just got to go through everything and sort everything out. There'll be some bar, there'll probably be some of these linkages, bits and pieces. So I'm hoping that I'll have I might even have the servo bar that goes on the top, and the injector rail, which is a fuel rail. These actually have a fuel pressure regulator under this throttle body. So obviously there won't be one on these, but the one on the end of the fuel rail for the M42, M44 works fine. I've used that on the M44 that I've got with the throttle bodies on. So what you'll need to do is get a rod that will, these have got bearings in, so once a rod goes in, it works they're very well made actually. It'll work very well. You need to have some way of getting a throttle position sensor on the end of the rod, which, you know, it's not going to be that hard to do. And some way of getting linkage on, which is basically, if you've got a rod in there, just something that comes off it with a hole in. so it can go onto the airbox or whatever and operate the throttle. And some way of joining these two together. So the rods, you're gonna need something that goes down to these openers here, from both the rods, from the single rod, which you know, it's just it's all doable. It's not a problem. The guy who built my engine said these are lovely compared to some of the stuff you get nowadays, that the hole's oval and let air in, you get problems with them and bits fall off and they vibrate. These are, you know, pretty bulletproof. They're designed to last 200,000 miles or whatever, so they seem to work fine. I'm very impressed with them on my car. If you put it on a standard M42, I think I've got 15 horsepower, but the noise was incredible. They sound lovely. With the M44, I've not been able to get my dyno because of COVID and everything, but they do, it's definitely a lot quicker than the M42 was. I know it's got the extra 100cc, but it seems to respond much better to the throttle bodies than the M42 did. So I'm quite sure you're going to get more than 15 horsepower out of an M44 with them. But they just sound so nice. And I use a standard ECU. I've made an airbox. If you watch my videos, it shows everything: cutting down the rail, joining up the throttle position, the throttle connector, making an airbox, making the trumpets. For the trumpets, I think it's 51mm exhaust tubes, fits perfectly in that hole. Really nice snug fit. Used exhaust tube, and I used egg cup holders, welded on the ends. They've got lovely trumpet ends on them. I've got them on my race car and they work very well, so you don't need to spend £40 a trumpet. Everything is doable quite cheaply. So for the trumpets and the airbox, you're probably talking about £50, whatever that is in euros or dollars or whatever. It's not a great deal, and it's going to be a bit of work getting them together. But I think I've got some more somewhere as well. I've got 2 engines with these sets on. I think they're brilliant. I really do. I don't know why people feel that they say they're no good for the car, because I've tried them and I think they're brilliant, and the sound you get out of them is amazing. So yeah, I'd like to give this pair away. So the reason I'm doing it is I've been doing a YouTube channel. I've been doing it for a few years now. I want to sort of get it going a bit better. I've just bought another car that I'm going to do a lot of work to, so that will be a project car that's going to go onto the channel, and also basic updates and running of the cars that I've already got. So yeah, what I want to do is give these away to someone who subscribes to the channel and likes this video. So if you'd like to win a set of throttle bodies that wouldn't be too much trouble to get onto your M42, M44, then all you have to do is subscribe and like. And what I will do is randomly check one of the likes and go post them. I'll pay for the postage, wherever it is, doesn't matter. And then if you look on my videos, you'll see videos about how I went about fitting these and matching ports up and welding the tags on, and I made a gasket which I didn't use in the end. I just used like grey glue on the joints. Yeah, and an airbox. They will not run without an airbox if you're using a standard ECU. They'll start and you can rev them, but you cannot drive it. In fact, the last set I put on, I normally put a spring holding the airbox onto the throttle bodies, but for some reason there wasn't any springs on it. I'd forgotten or hadn't put them on, and the airbox fell off, and it was like turning the ignition off. It just would not run. It would tick over, but you try revving it, it wouldn't do it. So you need to put an airbox on, which you know, I spent an afternoon fiddling about and cutting a bit of thin steel, and that worked fine, works really well. So good luck, and subscribe and like this video, and watch the other videos and you'll see all the information. And there's also other information as well. I've put a Subaru Impreza steering rack into a E36 BMW. I've put a Impreza steering rack into a E30. I've also put a Z4 steering rack into an E36 and an E30, and used a Corsa, Vauxhall Corsa power steering column. So that way you do away with all the power steering pumps on the engine. When I raced the E36, I had a lot of problems with power steering. It would lock. You might not find it on the road, but what I found was if you're coming into a corner, pulled the handbrake on high revs, as the car came round, the steering would lock, it would not turn, and you'd end up driving into a bank. It was lethal, really bad. And I thought, I've changed the pump, and I put a electric pump on from Mercedes, and it carried on doing it. So the only way I could get rid of it was put an electric steering column on. But you know, road use, I don't need that because you won't come across that problem. But I like the Z4 rack because it's close ratio, it's quick turn. I've got an adjustable knob on the dash to make it go more assist or less assist. But you know, I've done toe and camber adjusters on the rear beam, and it's all on the videos. There's quite a bit of stuff on there that you might find useful. You have to just plough through it, and you know, there's loads of me racing the car. I need to have a bit of sort out on the channel because there is loads of me racing the car. So I think these are brilliant, and if you want to do something to your engine, if it's an M42, you're going to get 15 horsepower, but you put cams in it, they all help. You know, you put an exhaust on it, that was 15 horsepower on a standard engine. It's going to sound nuts. It will sound like a 180 horsepower engine. It will go better. And there's videos on my channel of the car with just the throttle bodies on, nothing else done to it. So good luck, enjoy, subscribe and like this video for your chance to win them. Thank you very much.